So I've got a client who makes $100,000 every single week in his coaching business, and he does that with one offer. Okay, I want to explain to you his business model, his structure, because I think it's an amazing lesson in the power of simplicity. Then I want to talk to you about why he came to me for coaching and consulting on that business that was already making that. I didn't get him there. He got there fully on his own accord. So I want to talk to you about what we're working on together, which is a key element to my business, is soon to be a key element in his business. And it's something that you might want to think about adding if you've already got a course business or a coaching business, or if you're looking to build a business like that. Keep this in the back of your mind. And I think it's going to be something that will serve you really, really well. Here's the backstory with just this gent. So like I said, I didn't help him get to 100,000 a week. That's all on him, and full credit to him. He did that before he came to me and joined my personal inner circle. But there's a great lesson in what his business looks like, because it's beautifully, beautifully simple. And that's what I want to share with you to start. Okay, so here's the existing business structure. And just so you can see I'm talking about real things that actually happen, you've got a screenshot from the message that he sent me when I onboarded him as a client. Okay, so they've got a $27 front end offer. So this is a course and a Facebook group. All right, sold with a simple sales page, simple VSL, and the $27 course is a 7-day workshop. Sometimes people call these 7-day challenges. Essentially, it's 7 days of content that people go through each day, and there's something that they can implement at the same time that they're going through that. All these people are grouped together in a Facebook group. So they're surrounded by people who are going through it at the same time as them, have gone through it previously, and then people who subsequently join after them, right? That's it from a delivery perspective. There's some cool stuff that happens on the sales side for his business as a result of putting all those people into the offer. Okay. They've also got a $47 order form bump. That's when you go through a sales funnel, there's like usually a little box under where you put in all your information and you can add something to your order. That's simply there to increase average customer value of people coming through the front door. And as you can see, 25% of people take that order form bump, and they put 15,000 people into that front end offer in the last 12 months, which is awesome, like unreal. Okay, but here's where the magic happens, because I said to you, it makes $100,000 a week with one offer, and this is where it comes into it. They've got a 12-month group coaching on the back end that's $4,000 if you pay up front, or $4,500 if you want to put it on a payment plan, and they're selling roughly 25 of them per week. Amazing, right? And so here's where this model is so beautifully, beautifully simple. They drive traffic to the $27 offer, right? 25% of people take the order form bump. Then immediately those people jump into the Facebook group. Okay. Now the Facebook group in there is other members, but his salespeople are also in there as well. So there's a couple of things that are happening. One, people are joining. They're kind of talking as they're going through this process. The members who've gone through and really liked it are sharing positive feedback. The members who are way further along and have enrolled into the coaching are sharing back all the amazing results that they're achieving as a result of upgrading. And then his sales team are in there as well as on the back end, ultimately finding the folks who are a good fit to ascend up. And that's it. That's it. They enroll the right people into a $4,000 offer that has leverage in itself, right? And they do that day in and day out and day in and day out. Run people to the front end offer, ascend up. Run people to the front end offer, ascend up, right? Now, obviously, not everybody that goes through the front end offer is going to ultimately ascend up, but that's fine. It's a numbers game, right? They're spitting out $100,000 a week with that really simple structure. So that's the first lesson. Is one thing that I talk about all the time is the power of simplicity and having this kind of one main core offer in your business. All right. So that's a good insight to begin with. From there, what I wanted to talk to you about is what we're building together, because people might see this and go, well, like, why does this person need coaching? Why does this person need mentorship? And here's where this game becomes really interesting, because it's not just about the raw absolute dollars. Sometimes it's about, well, I want to build things in a certain way. And there's somebody who's, achieved a certain thing and they've done it in the way that I want to do it, right? We aren't all experts at everything. Maybe there's somebody who has one part of their business that you really like and you want to learn that off them. Or maybe they've done really well on a certain platform and they want to bolt that on, right? It's not always just about the absolute dollars. So even though this guy is doing unbelievably well on his own accord, there was something that he saw in what I do and what I help my clients with that he wanted to work on, right? And so here's what we are tackling together. Like I said, he's successfully built a big coaching info business, right? Big in the sense of numbers, but also big in the sense of there's 25 people a week are enrolling into this offer, which means that every month, give or take, you've got 100 people. That's going to be a big offer, right? Like I ran a coaching program that we put about 700 people into, and it's hectic. It's a lot. It's a lot to manage, and you need to make sure that everyone's getting what they need. What he wanted to do off the back of having built that, volume focused business was he wanted a more intimate offer to work closely with his top clients, right? So if we take this structure, you've got people buying the $27 thing, then a percentage of those people are upgrading to the 4K, right? They're in there for 12 months. A percentage of people are going to come into that 4K and do nothing. A percentage of people are going to come into that 4K and do pretty well. And a percentage of people are going to come into that 4K offer and do unbelievably well. That's just the way that it works whenever you've got people in groups, right? And so he wanted to create a kind of more intimate inner circle type structure to work with his top clients. And that's exactly what I've focused on in my business over the last couple of years. After, like I said, I ran a program that had 700 people in it. I was craving working more closely with people, getting more into the weeds, doing more one-to-one consulting. In fact, for a significant chunk of last year, all I did was one-to-one consulting. I now have a group offering, but it's still a lot more intimate than most group coaching offers online. The size is managed, right? See, he hosted a live event with a few of his top clients and loved it, and so then wanted to engineer that experience online. He'd been following my stuff for a while. He bought other things and had seen that had been my focus, working with my inner circle, creating this really close-knit, small, lean client book with people who stick around for the long term. And so he reached out to me and said, hey, can you help me kind of set it up, kick it off, get it running? And so that's exactly what we are working through at the moment. And so what this does is, for him, he's got this business running, it's ticking along really, really nicely. And now he's got his small inner circle where people in the $27 offer and people in the 4K offer can look towards ascending up to, right? Whether that happened quickly or whether that happens over an extended period of time, it gives them another level to aspire to ascend to. But the most important thing is, and this has been my experience working closely with a small group of clients, is that this is some of the most fun that you'll ever have in a coaching business, in a consulting business, in a course business, is where you set up the ecosystem on the front end, right? Be that with a structure like this, be that with content, whatever. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And then you ultimately let that create or spit out your perfect small lean book of clients, right? And because these people are so aligned to you, aligned to your methods, they know you so well, the sales process is really, really simple, really, really easy. They tend to stick around for a long time because they've already been through your world and been through your process for an extended period of time. And when you get into these types of rooms, you're dealing with different challenges. You're talking about different problems. It's not, most of the time, it's not about the, what hashtag do I use on Instagram to get 3 more followers. Usually there are a lot more deep or a lot higher level conversations that you're having. And when you've been in business for a while, they're the types of conversations that are really, really enjoyable. I know with a lot of my one-to-one clients, we spend a decent amount of time talking about stuff that may not even be directly related the business, because we could be talking about their relationships. I had a conversation with one-to-one with a client the other day about kind of the next phase for his personal brand, not directly tied to the offers, but the next level that I think he needs to take his brand to off the back of some challenges that were starting to present themselves. And so these are super enjoyable consulting or coaching relationships to nurture, and really can last for a long time. Okay, so this is what he came to me about building, and so I wanted to give you some, insights into if you wanted to bolt something like this onto your business. Obviously, you're welcome to reach out and I can help you do it. But here's a couple of things that we'll be digging into, right? So imagine you've got, your personal brand, your social media on the front end. You might have some other offers. It's all ultimately ascending up now to this inner circle type structure. Okay, this can have a small group and one-to-one, or you can just do a small group, or you can just do one-to-one. If you're doing one-to-one, I like to bring those people together. It creates a really fun environment. You can sell these without calls really easily, because typically the people that you're going to enroll will be heavily indoctrinated into your world, either through extensive consumption of your free content, or like in this case, they've been through and bought a bunch of stuff, and was the same with this client when he ultimately signed on. They're a great way to build monthly recurring revenue if you structure the pricing correctly and you maintain the relationships. People will hang around for years and years and years, as long as you keep growing and keep evolving as a person, so that the value line can kind of keep moving. Then that happens a lot. So structuring this thing up, here's a couple of things we'll be testing and working on together. First one is the number of people, right? Now this depends if it's small group, if it's one-to-one, if it's a combination of the two, but we'll be looking at volume, right? Keeping in mind the goal here isn't to put as many people as possible into it. The goal is to find the right number of people. He's got 4K offer here that he can pump as many people as he wants into. So this is really about what's the right number for enjoyment, while still financially making it worthwhile, while making sure it's the best environment to deliver on the actual coaching and consulting. So that's something that we'll play around with initially, and we can overshoot it, we can pare it back, we might find somewhere in the middle, we can play around with it, right? Second thing we'll be testing is pricing. A couple of things we'll play with is monthly, weekly, and pay in full pricing. There's a few different ways that we can tackle this, but adding monthly and weekly options in these groups is a no-brainer, because these people aren't people who default. These are people who have, as I said, they know you really well, they've been through your world, they've bought other things from you, and so the risk isn't much. That said, you can still incentivize them to pay up front if you want to, with like a maybe 20-30% difference in pricing. You don't even have to do the pay in full if you just want to build up the MRR, and because of the type of people that typically enroll into this back end inner circle type offer, that's totally fine as well. Duration is the next thing that we'll be playing around with. So he's got a 12-month offer here. So my gut says initially it's a 12-month offer on the back end, just to keep it nice and clean and simple. But that's not to say if you go and bolt something like this on that it has to be a 12-month offer. It could be 3-month, it could be 6-month, it could be 12 months. I know people that run multi-year masterminds, right? So you could have a 3-year runway. I think it becomes challenging to get people to sign up for 3 years, but you can definitely have a 3-year runway that they can work towards. So we'll be playing around with that. Leverage is still an element of it that you need to think of. So while we're seeking a more intimate offer in terms of the number of people, we don't want to go and turn his calendar into a Christmas tree with one-to-one calls a day, right? Because this isn't really about the money. He clearly doesn't need the money. This is about enjoyment. And so the number of one-to-one calls will correlate to how much fun he has. That's not to say one-to-one calls with clients aren't fun. They are, but too much of anything is going to become a pain in the ass. So my gut says there'll be an initial kickoff call and then some number of calls thereafter. And that's the element that we'll play around with. On the topic of one-to-one and still maintaining leverage, chat support is a great way to do that. So that could be one-to-one through Slack. It could be one-to-one through WhatsApp, one-to-one through something like Telegram, or even just Facebook Messenger. That's a great way to do one-to-one while still maintaining leverage. So we'll be definitely layering that in there in some capacity. And you can also have tiers, which I'll talk about in a second. Live events, like I said, he's hosted live events, and he wants these people to kind of form the foundation of the live events going forward. So we'll include that as part of the value proposition. And then the final element is group calls. Okay, the cool thing when you run programs like this, where it's a lot more smaller and kind of close knit, is the calls take on a much different form. It's less of a production line of questions, and it's more of a group of friends coming together, right? This the vibe on my inner circle calls is unlike anything I've experienced being part of a lot of other masterminds for this reason. It's like a group of friends coming together once a week to work through challenges on their mindset, their business, their brand, wherever else it may go. And because you know the people in there so well, the conversation can run that much deeper. Okay. On the topic of tiers, so what you can do with this, and this is the way my inner circle is structured up at the moment, is I said before that I spent a large chunk of last year doing exclusively one-to-one. There's going to be seasons, I'm going to touch over to these lessons here, but there's going to be seasons where you're going to lean more towards wanting to work with groups, and seasons where you maybe want to work more one-to-one, and then maybe seasons where you fall in the middle. And I focused nearly exclusively on one-to-one last year just because I felt kind of pulled into doing that. I wanted to go deeper with fewer, and that's exactly what I did. I still do that. There's still an option for folks to enroll in that, but this year I've also kind of reopened up a group element, which is obviously more affordable, and you can get details, links in the description, right? So the tiering structure can be quite effective, and you can go crazy with tiers. You can have group only, you can have group plus chat, you can have group plus chat plus 1 call a month, you can have group plus chat plus 2 calls a month. Go to town. It's the same offer, you're just able to squeeze more out of it. I would caution you against having too many different layers, or it can become a bit confusing and people can get a bit of paralysis around what to purchase. But if you have 2 or 3, I think that's totally fine. Okay, so like I said, a couple of lessons. We touched on the point around different seasons and kind of leaning into that. Third one, just wanted to reinforce the power of simplicity, right? Like we saw this is a very simple business. You've got fundamentally, you've got a $27 front end and you've got a 4K back end, spitting out $100,000 a week, right? Keep it simple. And then the last one, which I just spent time touching on, is anyone with a brand, a personal brand, an expert info type business, coaching business, course business, existing consulting business can build out this exclusive inner circle type structure. Okay. It's honestly one of the best things that I've ever done. I've been running mine for, I think it's about 2.5 years now, maybe even be longer than that. And other offers in the business can come and go. Like you could have a course that opens and closes. You could have a big group coaching program that you maybe do cohorts on, whatever. But the entire ecosystem feeds this really close-knit back end. And these people will stick with you long term if you look after them. It's a great way to stack monthly recurring revenue for the long term. It's super easy to sell because of who you're selling it to. People who've known you for a long time through your content, have purchased your other products and offers. So super easy to sell without sales calls to clear up your calendar. And you can bolt it onto a course, a big group offer, and it gives people that target that are in those things to ascend up to. Okay, so I just wanted to share that cool little story of this gent who's crushing it, and in particular what we're building together, just to kind of make you aware of it as a product or an offer option that you may look to bolt onto your course or coaching business. And obviously you want help with that, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to work with you on that if it's a fit. So appreciate you hanging out with me in this one. I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.